Welcome back to the inner sanctum of whatever you need, the only digital sanctuary where we refuse to treat entertainment as a mere fleeting distraction. Here, within the confines of this community, we analyze the industry not just as a business, but as a shifting cultural force that defines our times. Tonight, we are pulling back the heavy velvet curtain on a production that has achieved the impossible. It has taken a celebrated Turkish leading man, stripped him of the restrictive, local star label, and marched him directly through the front gates of Hollywood's most exclusive echelon. We are discussing a project that has made the name Barış Baktaş echo from the ancient cobblestones of Rome to the glass-walled boardrooms of Los Angeles. We are talking, of course, about the global phenomenon that is rivalry. But why, you might ask, did the titans at Netflix US single out this specific saga as one of their boldest, most aggressive launches of the decade? How did Barış Baktaş transform himself from a romantic lead into a seafaring tiger capable of standing toe-to-toe with international heavyweights, redefining masculinity for a new generation? And perhaps most intriguingly, what is the truth behind the persistent whispers of a second season that promises to vault this story from a hit television show into a mythical legacy? Stay with me, for tonight we dissect the off-camera scuttlebutt, the grueling physical metamorphosis, the private competitions that fueled the performances, and the reason this show is more than just television, it is a dynasty in the making. Before we chart this treacherous course into the humidity of 1849 Borneo, I need you to verify your status within our ranks. Are you subscribed? We are building a community of true connoisseurs here, at whatever you need. And for those who wish to help us keep the lights on and the scripts deep, allowing us to bypass the clickbait and focus on the epic, I strongly urge you to click the join button below. Your support is the wind in our sails. Now let us step onto the deck and face the storm. There are series that simply get made to fill a time slot, and then there are series that arrive to change the weather of the entire industry. Rivalry belongs emphatically, and without reservation, to the second category. From the precise moment the first rushes were cut in the editing bay, insiders whispered that this was not a standard export destined for a niche audience. It was a volatile fusion of Turkish emotional intensity and sheer Hollywood scale. With Barış Baktaş steering the ship as the complex anti-hero, and Gökberk Yıldırım anchoring the darkness as his formidable nemesis. However, the true seismic shift, the moment the ground beneath the entertainment world trembled, occurred when Netflix US made a corporate decision that sent shockwaves through the veins of the streaming giant. Mark the date, for it will be remembered as a turning point, January 19, 2026. This is the day the entire 8-episode first season of rivalry lands in the colossal US catalog. Let us be unequivocal about what this means. This is not a dump release intended to bury a foreign acquisition, it is a coronation. The strategy is deliberate, calculated, and bold. After a high-impact premiere on Rai 1 in Italy that captivated the European market, and a strategic, surgical rollout on Disney Plus in select territories, Netflix US stepped in to transform a European hit into a global calling card. Inside the company headquarters, rivalry is reportedly sitting high among the most ambitious international releases of the year. The message being broadcast to subscribers is unmistakable. This is not a curiosity. This is a flagship franchise intended to compete with heavy hitters like The Witcher and Shogun. Initially, the blueprint for this project was finite, a contained miniseries designed to reintroduce the classic, swashbuckling tales of Emilio Salgari to a modern audience that craves authenticity. We find ourselves transported to Borneo in the year 1849, a time of lawlessness and colonial ambition. The protagonist is the infamous Tiger of Malaysia, a pirate first and a symbol later, a man who claws through life with no cause beyond survival and vengeance. But then, a strange alchemy occurred as the footage began to arrive in the editing room. Executives watched Barış Baktaş's performance deepen with every scene. They saw a man who wasn't just wearing a costume or reciting lines, he was inhabiting a soul that seemed to burn through the lens. The conversation in the boardroom changed overnight. The limited series concept was unceremoniously scrapped in favor of a sprawling multi-season order, with scripts hastily revised and expanded after the creative team realized the sheer emotional range Barış could cover. Sources near the production insist that the inner journey of Kinsesekleri surprised even the writers who penned it. You simply do not rip up production schedules and budget forecasts unless you believe you are witnessing the birth of a legend. The production pedigree supporting this ambition is undeniable. Lux Vide and Rai Fiction are the titans behind the helm, the same prestigious entities that built immersive worlds like Medici and Leonardo. They poured cinematic muscle into every frame of this show, ensuring that the visual language speaks as loudly as the dialogue. We are talking about the palpable texture of salt on sunburnt skin, the tactile grain of 19th-century wood, and the visceral, terrifying reality of a storm at sea. This version of the saga does not coast on nostalgia, it remaps the myth with a modern urgency that demands attention. To meet the impossible demands of playing the tiger, Barış Baktaş effectively vanished from the public eye. He stepped away from the limelight, ignored the paparazzi, and descended into the grind. For months, his life was a punishing regimen of swordplay, close-quarters combat, and maritime endurance drills designed to make the human body flow with water rather than fight it. He underwent rigorous vocal coaching until the old-world cadence of the dialogue felt as natural as breathing, stripping away any trace of the contemporary. But the physical transformation, the wild aristocracy, look that fashion critics are already predicting will influence runways next season, was secondary to the internal seismic shift. The character of the tiger is not a statue carved from marble heroism, he is a walking contradiction. He is a leader who bleeds, a lover who is plagued by doubt, and a fighter who is terrified of what surrendering to love might cost his freedom. That inner tremor, that subtle vibration of fear beneath the bravado, is what critics in Italy noticed first. It is the vulnerability beneath the violence that makes the performance unforgettable. While cameras rolled across multiple countries throughout the grueling shoot of 2024, there was another essential element to this equation. Yağmur Yüksel was a constant, stabilizing presence amidst the chaos of production. She visited the coastal sets frequently, often arriving before the sun had even crested the horizon, with her hair tucked modestly under a cap and coffee in hand, listening intently as Barış walked through the emotional beats he wanted to adjust. Crew members describe her not as a visitor who hovered or distracted, but as an anchor who grounded him in reality. She was the person who reminded him to breathe between the high-stakes takes, the one who advised him to hold something back, so there would be more to give when the lens came closer for the critical close-up. When the early cut screened in small, private rooms for the studio elite, some observers swore that the tenderness Barış channeled in his scenes with the character of Mariana carried the warmth of a real love that existed just beyond the frame, a reflection of the support he received off-camera. Whether that is method acting or emotional transference hardly matters, the effect on the screen is palpable and electrifying. This brings us to the most tantalizing rumor of all, and I need the input of the whatever you need family right now. There are whispers, loud, persistent ones echoing through the industry corridors, that Yağmur Yüksel might not just be an observer for Season 2. Some executives have reportedly toyed with the idea of a graceful cameo to delight the fans, while others are pitching a European period limited series that would let her carry a world of her own, capitalizing on the couple's collective star power. I want to know your take on this potential development. Do you want to see Yağmur step into the Kinsesekleri universe on screen, perhaps as a character who tests the tiger's resolve? Or do you prefer her as the power behind the throne, the steady wind behind his sails that remains unseen but felt? Pause the video right now, scroll down, and leave your theory in the comments. And don't forget, if you want your comment to be highlighted in our next deep dive, hitting that join button is the best way to get noticed by the team. The set of Kinsesekleri became its own little republic. A mosaic of Italian veterans, British players, Turkish energy, and American consultants all striving for perfection. But the core of the dramatic tension, the nuclear reactor powering the narrative, lay in the collision between Barış Baktaş and Gökberk Yıldırım. Gökberk Yıldırım, an actor famous for his icy charisma and piercing gaze, embodies Lord James Brooke, the relentless hunter who would scorch the entire sea just to corner his prey. When he stares down the barrel of the lens, you feel the distance between law and justice collapse into nothingness. On camera, their clashes were crafted to stretch audience tension to the absolute breaking point. But off-camera, the competitive current was just as fierce, driving both men to excellence. Witnesses from the set say that if one of them nailed a take with particular intensity, the other immediately wanted to top it in the next setup. It was a classic case of iron sharpening iron. Long nights turned into longer rehearsals, fueled by a mutual respect sharpened by professional pride. Directors reportedly allowed their scenes to run longer than scripted because the electricity between them was so potent that nobody wanted to shout "cut." This rivalry will likely cut even deeper in the highly anticipated second season, as the scripts are rumored to push both men to their absolute physical and psychological limits. The Netflix US plan tells you everything you need to know about the industry's confidence in this project. By dropping all episodes on the same day, they are inviting the audience to binge the revolution, to swallow the story whole. But in the back rooms of Hollywood agencies, the conversations are already stretching far beyond one series. We hear from reliable sources that following the projected success of Barış Baktaş is sitting at tables where English-language films are being sketched on napkins. We are talking about historical fantasies, genre-bending epics, and Hollywood co-productions that are no longer speculative dreams, but calendar-bound realities. Yağmur's name has entered those exclusive rooms too. Not as an accessory to her partner, but as a talent under serious consideration for projects that require that unique, unspoken chemistry that captivates audiences. More than one label fits this massive undertaking. For Barış, Baktaş is a manifesto of international ambition, a declaration that he has arrived. For Netflix, it is a strategic bridge connecting the passionate viewership of Europe and the vast market of the US. For the legend itself, it is a rebirth. The salt and smoke of an old tale told with new, bloody conviction. And for those who have watched Barış and Yağmur from the very start, it is the inspiring story of a Turkish power couple stepping into global focus without losing the core of who they are. When January 19, 2026, finally arrives, Baktaş won't just be consumed, it will be argued over at dinner tables and on social media timelines. It will spark debates about fidelity to the books, about the shade of its darkness, and about whether the line between love and rebellion can ever truly be clean. Right now, Barış Baktaş sits on the radar across 3 continents, and Baktaş is the sharpest blade he carries in his arsenal. The voyage hasn't reached its last port, in fact, it has barely left the harbor. The horizon is wide, and the stakes have never been higher. Now I turn the final word over to you, the Whatever You Need community. Are you ready to see Barış in a role that strips away the romance to reveal the warrior beneath? And how do you think Gökberk Yildirim will fare against the Turkish tiger when the cannons start firing? Let the debate begin in the comments section below. I read every single one. If this deep dive gave you the context you crave and the quality you deserve, please like the video, it helps us immensely in defeating the algorithm. Ensure you are subscribed so you don't miss our frame-by-frame breakdown of episode 1 when it finally drops. And to truly be part of the team and support independent analysis, click Join. Thank you for watching Whatever You Need. Until the next wave breaks, keep your eyes on the horizon.